Romantasy
for Dummies.
Hold up! This is the part where we are going to tell you that there are spoilers, cursing, potentially triggering situations, and spiciness of all levels. Don't say you weren't warned. Alright, carry on. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back, 1 through 15. I hope you're all here.
Thanks for joining.
It's more of a family vibe. We could actually call up everyone we know and just do this
live on a Zoom. We could just do a Zoom. Welcome back to Fantasy for Dummies, episode 7, part 3 of Mist and Fury.
A Court of Mist and Fury.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yep. Correct.
You would be correct.
Right.
I will say that I walked in.
Wait, who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah, who are you?
Oh.
The edible really did hit.
I was like, wait, what?
Trying to remember. See, look at me. I'm trying to keep us on track here.
That's good. I'm Brianna, the younger sister.
I'm Eileen, the fairy-loving, almost 40-year-old.
God, it's going to be a really sad day when you turn 40.
If we're still doing this when I turn 40, it means more than 15 people have subscribed to our podcast.
Maybe it's just because we've never talked more than when we spend 6 hours recording 1 hour and a half episode.
It's absurd how much time this takes.
And the first hour is always just nervous talking. Or if we haven't talked in a while.
Since yesterday?
It's a lot. Well, not this episode specifically.
It's usually since yesterday, though, even if we don't go a day without speaking.
We don't go a day without speaking, but we go a day without, full debriefs.
Sure.
Usually we're bitching about something.
Right. So the fact that this takes us 6 hours every time we do it.
No.
I walked in the door at 6:20.
Yeah, but I would say we started closer to 7.
It's 8:20.
That's neither here nor there. That's not the point.
I was like, we'll get this done early, have a drink, be up in bed, finish my book, go to the gym in the morning. This podcast is derailing my whole life.
Shut up.
It's derailing my whole life.
Shut up. When I went to the gym today, I could not find a parking spot for Vanna.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, you could find a parking spot, but for Vanna.
It was insane. I was a couple minutes late.
It's because all those
other
yeah.
But I was a couple minutes late to to my training session. I texted. I was like, I'm here. I'm just finding parking. He was like, it's all good. True. No worries. I zero concerns. And so I walk in there and I looked at him. Never met him before except for the Zoom. I said, "Is it always like this at 10:30 on a Monday?" And he was just did not know what to do with me the moment I walked into that gym.
Yeah. I love making a man nervous immediately.
Correct. He had no idea what to do with me.
There's no greater pleasure I take in life than a man fumbling within 1 second of meeting me.
Correct. I started telling that story because...
Great question. I have no idea why.
Because you said you were going to go at night. That's what it was.
Right.
So then when we were during the training, I was like, I just can't, people were yelling and grunting and all whatever they were doing.
You need headphones at that gym.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is all this is crazy. He's like, oh, you should see it in the morning, and it's even worse at night. So you mentioned going at night, and I was like, don't go. He said he leaves by 5:00.
He does, but I feel like a lot of the day people do. I like the morning vibe there. But every once in a while, I'm gonna try to go back to doing at least one night a week, because it's I don't know how to explain it. It is inspiring isn't the word, but it's a
different pace.
It's a different pace. It's a different vibe. It is you're jacked up. I don't know how to explain it. You can't do, I like to do upper. I'll do upper at night. I won't do a lower workout because there's certain machines right there. So you have to know, but the people watching at night is primo. That's what it is. It is primo people watching.
It's primo all the time. People...
Yes. But you know what? When you go all the time in the morning, it's the same,
Yeah.
It's the same people. And the morning crowd is, it's tame. The nighttime crowd is primo people watching. So it's like good to do cardio at night because you just hop on a treadmill and you're just like soaking it all in. Yeah. But I'm usually watching a show or reading a book. I read a book. I read my book yesterday on my iPad during cardio, and the half hour
flew.
Yes. Which I usually do a show. I usually pick a show and make it my cardio show, which is why I haven't finished Shrinking. Great show. You watch it?
What show?
Shrinking.
No.
Oh, excellent show.
What is it about?
It's Apple TV show, and it's what is his name? It's Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. Harrison Ford, this lady who's super funny and a bunch of shit. It's really good. You gotta watch.
Is it a comedy?
It's a comedy, but there are some there's a darker theme behind it, but it's a comedy and it is piss your pants funny. The entire supporting cast is funny.
You don't think Harrison Ford, you don't think comedy.
He's a grumpy, old, dry, curmudgeon-y psychiatrist.
There it is. Okay.
So the premise of the show is that Jason Segel is a psychiatrist who lost his wife in a car crash.
Okay.
And he becomes unorthodox in his therapy.
Okay.
And Harrison Ford is his practice. So he's trying to be in charge. And then there's his wife's best friend is the other psychiatrist. It's just great show. Highly recommend. That's all I got. I'm going to finish my book. I stayed up too late reading it. I did not go to the gym because I was reading it. It is snackish. I thought it was fantasy, but it's not. It's just a student-teacher, dark academia romance situation, which is way outside my wheelhouse, but I'm 0% mad at it. I am 0% mad at it. And then I'm going to read Lights Out tomorrow, which looks like a fun little ditty as well. So, yeah, that's it. I'm going to have to start rereading Onyx Storm for the pod, which is going to take up a lot of my time. I might audiobook it. I think audiobooking is best for the pod.
There was an interview with someone, I don't know who she was exactly, I missed the beginning of it, but it essentially was some people don't think audiobooks count on Goodreads.
Oh.
Some people don't think that an audiobook
I've heard that, yeah.
is the same, and the woman, I think she was a doctor or had doctorate or something, said that audiobooks, you listen to every word of an audiobook versus reading where we've learned how to...
I skip at least 50% of the words on the page.
Yeah, whereas an audiobook, you actually hear more of the actual story.
I agree with that. I don't love audiobooks, and like I said, I couldn't do it for the first time around, but for the purposes of summarizing.
Yeah.
Yes. And I started using Everly instead of...
Audible,
mostly because it had a good intro offer.
Yeah.
You get 3 audiobooks at the beginning.
Oh.
And I think you get, for $16 a month, I think it is. I have to double check. I think for $16 a month, you get 2 books a month, which is way better than Audible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if their catalog isn't as deep, but they've had everything I've been looking for so far, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Because there's also a library. Oh, you don't have a library card.
I have to go get one. I do have to go get one. I also have to put some bookshelves up in my living room, which I'm going to make you help me with.
I do like that you attempted to say, I'm going to put some bookshelves up in my living room.
I'm going to make you put some bookshelves up in my living room.
There, I think that's a little bit...
thing for dog leashes, so whenever you're ready.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay, sounds good.
I need a library nook. Can't do it without you, sissy.
Just picturing your small apartment, the little ladder.
Oh my god, imagine. I wouldn't be able to step
like
on it because my head already almost touches my ceiling. I have to duck on the ladder. Oh my god.
There goes the baker.
But I want to unload all of my book boxes that have been in the garage for 3 years because I want to fill up my Goodreads. I have to prove to people on Goodreads that I can read Romantasy now because I read serious books when I was young. I've earned the right.
I've done the work. I've put in the work.
I read the real literature when I was trying to impress broody men as a younger woman, okay? I did it. I read it all. And now...
Past me was setting current me up for success.
Correct. I'm just kidding. Everyone should read whatever they want, whatever they like. But I've always been a reader, and I'm trying to... I gotta diversify my Goodreads.
I'm gonna throw something in there you read when you were 12.
Angela's Ashes. I read Angela's Ashes for my 5th grade book report. Do the math on that. I put on my Goodreads. I know.
Was telling this story the other day that like the first day of like kindergarten or first grade when like the teacher like makes you fill out those papers like or I guess first grade because you're not writing yet in kindergarten, but like tell like what's your name, what's your favorite color, what's your favorite book. For what's your favorite movie, I said Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. Mm-hmm.
And I came home.
It was at least a PG-13, possibly an R.
And Mom looks at me and screams, "You couldn't have put a Princess Disney movie like the rest of them!"
No. Well, the best really is that when we would come back from vacation and everyone would write what they did, and they did fun, wholesome things, and I had to write that I went to Atlantic City.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say Amish country.
No, I was in charge of my cousins at the slots. Everyone else... Everyone else was on fun family-friendly trips, and I
was at the Trump
I was
Marina.
in charge of a bunch of demons trying to escape me at the Trump Marina.
Through the Hooters. Pre-cell phones, so like you literally couldn't find your parents if you needed to find them. And they would give me a bag of quarters, a Ziploc bag full of quarters, and leave me with all of you people and disappear into the Cloudy Smoke Casino for the entire weekend. It was like, you know, like you get a bag of quarters. It was like $10 worth of quarters, and each game was like $3.
I had 15 minutes worth of loose coin entertainment, and then I was on my own. I was like Eloise at the Trump Marina.
No, you were Eloise's nanny.
Literally. So yeah, we all went through shit. Which is why when I was reading like adult books for my 5th grade book report, it all lines up. It all lines up.
I am Saint Cyril.
We're going to talk about some tropes today, and I am the trope of the firstborn daughter, niece, granddaughter. That's it.
You're the matriarch of our generation.
I am an elder millennial firstborn daughter, and yes,
Eileen.
Everything they say is true about what I am.
Eileen, elder millennial.
Elder millennial, firstborn daughter.
Oh my God.
Right. So I've earned my place here in the world of dragons and fairies because I was too serious for the rest of my life, okay?
She's finally learned the meaning of letting loose and relaxation.
Right.
She's not wound so tight.
Right. I read the classics when I was 10. I'm good now. I just want to have fun.
Oh my goodness. Alas, here we are.
Yeah, just cozy group of 13 because we're part of the 15. You know what I mean?
Can't stand you sometimes.
Can't stand myself.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get into it because I mean, it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, we recorded yesterday, so we're reading the same things that we were yesterday.
Yep.
I'm going to finish Nocticadia today.
Yep.
Did I already talk about this on the air, or was it off the air when I said it?
Well, you said what?
How much I liked it.
No, I think it was on the air.
Okay, good. Yeah, high recommend so far. Not fantasy. No, I thought it was romantasy. It's not.
It's just romance.
It's a dark academia, age gap, tropey, maybe like sci-fi-ish situation. I'm not really sure what you would call it.
Sci-fi? Are they like in the future?
No, it's about sci-fi's not right. Maybe like science. It's about worms that like eat your insides. That's what the guy studies. So there is like that's not real. You know what I mean? So there is a
fictional element.
Is that fantasy though? Like, what do you categorize that as?
Just fiction. I like it's just a romance.
Yeah, it's not just a romance. Just a romance to me is like a Hallmark movie and a book. There's some weird shit in here. But anyway, it's really good. It was highly recommended by a lot of people on the interweb. And it didn't disappoint. It's like a one-dayer, you know? It's like a nice one-dayer. And it's dark, it's feisty. It's fun.
Okay.
It's really fun. And yeah, I'll reread Onyx Storm for the pod. I'm going to do Lights Out next. That's all I got. I'm wondering what I'm going to learn about Onyx Storm the second round that I didn't pay attention to the first round, but we'll see.
So it's like
I'm about to become
for
insufferable again when I hear like 50% of what I missed when I read it in 15 minutes.
You were already so insufferable about the first read through.
You think, was I? I was bothering you? Oh.
You just said it. as though, like, it had been told to you.
It took over my whole personality for 7 business days.
Yeah, it did have a chokehold on you.
It took over which is, like, interesting because, like I said, I didn't feel that way about the first 2. But yes, it did. It was my entire personality for an entire week. But I wasn't alone, and that's what made me feel justified and vindicated about it.
That's fair.
It was a community spiral.
Yeah. No, I would say that's right. I'm not spiraling as much about it, but that's also because I don't care about much as far as like hype. I think I go in with such low expectations. Is really what it is. I just feel like
the ending of it allowed for so many theories, and that's where the spiral really happened.
Yeah.
And I had Brody and Michaela, and they were spiraling with me.
Yeah.
And I mean, she spiraled her ass all the way to Colorado.
Yeah. Our cousin got into the book tour in Colorado. She lives in New Hampshire.
Right. And so I mean, that's her level of dedication. So I was like, I see you, I validate you, I match you, like, let's do this. Let's fucking go off, like, as a group. Let's just go off.
Lean into it.
Yes.
Really lean into it.
Yeah. And I mean, we are 3 adults with full-time jobs.
Uh-huh.
That if they saw our group message would have to dock our pay. This is unwell behavior. This is absolutely unwell behavior.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. We're doing Quicksilver next with that group. I want you to do it, too, so we can do it for the pod. But I think I might come unglued about that one as well, because it seems pretty... The fans of that book seem pretty enthralled.
Yeah. I'll read that one.
Yeah.
I won't be there for the book club, but...
We could phone you in on, like, a Sunday night, because I'm going Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll think about it.
Yeah.
See how it works out. So, yeah. By book club, Brody was like, have you ever been in, like, what do we do for a book club? I'm like, I just imagined us all drinking and spiraling together in the sunshine.
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Right? That's what a book club is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just like a community spiral.
Yeah, I think they just...
With booze.
They just say book club to make it better.
Right.
Like, to make it more societal.
Okay, good. Okay.
Within the societal norms.
Glad we checked that out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No. Okay.
Nothing else exciting?
No.
Since yesterday?
Not since yesterday.
I have an old fashioned again, 2 days in a row.
That is accurate. You do have a second old fashioned. I spent the day building a wig, so I did nothing.
Okay. Go team.
So there's that.
Anyone who I've ostracized, you're welcome.
They're coming back.
Yeah.
They're coming back to us, arms open.
You have to, even if you love it, you have to see that they're fun things.
Yeah. You have to.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't if it was thrown on glass. I would. So I understand that maybe some people feel that way about fourthling. Although, if someone else did throw on glass and made it funny, I would laugh. I just can't find the humor in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, you're not precious over it. Like,
I would never be, like, offended if someone made fun of it. Like, I wouldn't get my panties in a knot over it, but... Okay, so should we talk about a book now?
Yeah, let's talk about a book.
It's almost 9 p.m. We should probably talk about a book.
The third part of a book.
The final part of a book.
The final.
This part's a little emotional for me. Are you ready?
I can't wait to see what this looks like.
I am...
Or sounds like.
There is some emotional response I have to this part. Yeah. I mean, you didn't have an emotional response to this?
No.
Seriously?
Yeah. I mean, like, well, I felt for them. I'm an empath. Like, I always feel for them, but I didn't, like, cry. I don't remember there being a moment where, because a lot of times when, like, people cry over things, I'm like, I can understand why you cry.
Right.
But I'm not going to.
Books have made me cry, but not this one.
Yeah. I don't remember any emotional. There are a couple of things you talked about I completely forgot about.
Okay.
So that might change, but
sure.
But not off the top of my head. I can't remember anything.
We left off, if I recall correctly, with Faber Emery's training in the woods, and after all of his trauma dumping, she takes from that she wants to paint again. Is that where we left off?
Yes, that is actually that. Yes. What an idiot.
She's gonna be an artist again, and it's not that it's not about her, but it's not about her. So, in spite of this revelation, she is still hung up. Our girl Faber is still hung up on the mental idea that she is betraying Tamlin. even though she just found out about all the murdering, right?
Yeah.
And the family murdering, and, like, she's been, like, unpacking the fact that he was, like, abusive towards her and, like, a total piece of shit. She still cannot get over the fact that it might be seen as her being a whore.
Yes.
She's very hung up on this
She
concept.
is very concerned about that, yes.
Right. So this is what she has going on in her head. And then after this day in the woods, her and Reese and they're out for an overnighter. They're going for an overnighter training trip in the woods. They're going to head out into the woods. They're going to spend the night in a hotel, and then they're going to go out in the woods and hunt and train somewhere else.
Okay.
Right. It's all to set up for this trope that's coming, but it's totally fine. So they're off for a little camping trip, these two. And in her head, on the way to this camping trip, she's thinking to herself, after she's gotten over all the feelings that she's already identified she has for him, she's like, maybe, just maybe, him and I could just be fuck buddies. And if you're worried about everyone thinking you're a whore already, it's just now here's the thing. I say do whatever you want, fuck whoever you want, God bless. Yeah. But if this is the
thing you're worried about,
barrier that you have in your head, and then that's your response, you need to talk to someone with, like, letters after their title. Do you know what I mean? Someone who went to extra school. It's fine. It's totally fine. Off they go. So they get out and they're doing their training thing, and they get separated because she's going to use her fire and she doesn't want to light Reese on fire. So they have a separation in the woods. And she's going to work on her fire, except for the fact she can't work on her fire because Lucian is there.
Yes.
And
with like a couple of...
Lucian is there with sentries.
Sentries.
Yes, from the spring court. And Lucian, bless his heart, is like, oh my God, we finally found you. He thinks that she needs to be saved. He's like, I've been out here hunting in the woods for you for 2 months, and we finally found you. And Favor's like, pump the brakes because I'm actually, like, here of my own free will, kind of. And Lucian is like, no. Hold on. Tamlin's losing his shit at home. You have to come with us. And, like, that's what this is about. This man has come unglued at home. Yeah. And, like, you have to come. And she's like, actually not really interested. I don't care if he's losing his whole ass mind or not. So just in the nick of time, when Lucian's gonna, like, grab her, this bitch figures out how to winnow again. All right. So she's kind of, like, time hopping all around to get away from him. And she tells him, you can fuck off and carry on. And Reese shows up. Now, just keep in mind, Reese is not supposed to be using his magic in the woods because their enemies can track his magic. All right? So just keep that in the back of your mind. And he shows up, and they make it real clear to him, Favor's where she wants to be. Lucian's like, but Tamlin's never gonna stop looking for you. And he loves you, and he's making some weak-ass excuses, trying to, like, gloss over Tam's real bad behavior. And Feyre, she grows wings just to make a point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, she grows wings, she tells him, screw off, and she's making a statement here. And you know what, Feyre? Good for you. So Lucian and his little friends leave with their tails tucked between their legs, and off they go. Training's over for the day. Reese and Feyre get to the hotel, the little inn that they're supposed to meet at, or they're supposed to spend the night at, which is essentially like a seedy pay-by-the-hour motel situation.
I was picturing, like, an old tavern where it was, like, a board house. So, like, there was a bar on the bottom.
There's definitely a bar on the bottom, but people definitely rent the rooms by the hour. And, spoiler alert, everyone, buckle up. There's only one room, and it only has one bed. And that's the first trope we're going to deal with in this particular scenario. One room, one bed. It's a romantasy trope. We get it all the time. It doesn't make it any less effective, okay? It's effective every time.
Just because it's used in every book doesn't mean...
Just because it's overused doesn't mean it's any less effective, okay? So buckle up, because we all know something's about to happen here, right? And not only is there only one room with one bed, it's the world's tiniest hotel room.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't fit.
And it has no heat.
Right.
Okay. And he can't not have his wings because that would take magic, and they're tracking his magic. So we're stuck with this hulking man and his hulking wings in this tiny little hotel room. And he's like, listen, I'm going to go get us food, get changed. And she's like, okay. And then when he comes back, she's like, well, and the weakest try I've ever heard in my life. She's like, when me and my sisters were poor, we just used body heat. And it's like, Feyre, girl, you're
a mess.
You're transparent. And I just... Bless you for trying, but, like, Reese has so much game. You know what I mean?
So much game.
He has so much game. So she's over here like, you know, pitching out body heat, and he's over here pitching getting laid, and bless. So they have a little date. He brings up a bunch of food. They share a bottle of wine. They're in bed. It's adorable, and they settle in to go to bed. Okay, so now here is what we're gonna get to trope number 2, and here's the trope that no one talks about. The tropes that we talk about: one bed, one room. Professor student, age gap, forced proximity. These are all the tropes that we always talk about. The tropes that we don't talk about enough is the one that happens in all these books where the guy just gets the girl off for the first time.
Yeah.
Why does no one talk about it? And it reminds me of that episode of Friends where Joey is a sperm donor, so he can't bang the girl that he's dating, and Monica's like, well, you can make it about her. And he's like, what do you mean? And Monica's like, you could make it about
her.
And he's like, I'm not following what you're saying. And then he does, and surprise, surprise, the girl's like sending him fruit baskets and shit like that after. And this is what we're dealing with. All these authors watch that episode of Friends, okay? This is another trope that no one wants to identify, and I'm identifying it right now. Because
First, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. It's a trope, and it happens all of the time. In a selfless act, Reese gets Feyre off because there's not enough room physically for him to bang her.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, the first time we do this, like, I need privacy. I need room. I'm going to jack your shit all up. But I'm going to give you a little taste right now. Bless this girl, because while this snack, this cinnamon roll, this
Cinnamon roll,
perfect human being of a man has his hand down her pants, he's like, tell me what you want, Feyre. And this broad thinks she should play games with him, and she's like, I'm just looking for a distraction and to have a little fun. And I need to renege on something that I said or add to it, because at one point I had said on this very pod that the most unbelievable thing in a book about fairies is that Feyre is a good artist. And I'm going to say that the second most unbelievable thing in a book about fairies is that someone like Feyre could engage in casual sex. She doesn't have it in her, and that's okay. It's not something to be ashamed of. But
we're not shaming it.
Feyre girl.
It is misplaced.
Feyre girl, you can't be a fuck buddy. You don't have it. You don't have what it takes. So let's all... Can we stop? Can we stop? I have secondhand embarrassment for you. But anyway, she tells him that. He's like, oh, you want to have a little fun? Here's some fun. And they, you know, they do their thing. So now...
Not the sigh.
Because she's just...
insufferable.
She's her own worst enemy. And that is... It's infuriating. So now the next day, they head out for training day number 2. While they're out there and they're flying, he's like, listen, BT Dubs, I have something else that I need to tell you. And it sounds like it's going to be something serious, like not good. And she's like, well, what is it? And he hesitates, and she tells him flat out, stay with us, dear listeners. No matter what it is, I'll never leave you. And before he can get it out, unfortunately, they are attacked by poison arrows.
Yes.
And I mean, like, really attacked by poison arrows. Okay? They are getting bombarded. And he uses his body to shield her, and he absorbs all of the they're ash arrows, but they're not regular ash arrows.
It's got Fabane in it.
It has, yes, we're going to find out what the poison is, but they're poison-tipped arrows. And he uses his magic to separate them and sends her far away. And he absorbs all of these arrows, and here we are. She's shitting her pants. She doesn't know how to find him. She's like calling through their bond or whatever it is, their connection, and she can't find him. So she is forced to use her OG hunting skills to track him down.
Yeah.
So she's finding discarded arrows. She's following him, and she's almost not going to be able to follow him. And then she realizes she's not just tracking his scent. She's tracking her own scent from the finger banging. And I'm going to tell you, SJM, my girl Sarah, as a collective audience, we all could have dealt without this.
We all literally didn't need this in our lives.
It was egregious. Okay? I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I'm telling you why.
Why?
But she tracks her own sex smell, and she finds him half dead.
Sex smell.
Okay, she finds him half dead, shackled. All right, he's in a cave, and he's shackled, and he's riddled with arrows, and he's being whipped by a bunch of high fae she's never seen before. Feyre promptly unalives all these motherfuckers. She learns how to winnow real quick, and she is executing them.
She is
efficient.
yes.
She's very efficient, and I'm not gonna lie.
Shocked. I was shocked.
I love her in this moment.
Yeah.
And I don't hate her ever, but she's a bad bitch in this moment. And she comes in and she saves her man, and it doesn't matter because he's in real bad shape.
This is one of the moments where I was like, get it. Like,
Right.
like I was so kind of happy.
Yes.
I was like, finally, she's got some, like, something.
She earned it. She fucking earned it.
Yeah.
And she comes in and she saves him, and he is riddled with these poison arrows, and she doesn't know what to do because he can't winnow her out. And she kind of knows how to winnow, but it seems like she can only winnow in like these high pressure situations. She can't get them home. So she time jumps them. She winnows them into like another cave so the rest of these people hunting them can't find them. But he is full of poison arrows. So she essentially starts to like field triage him to remove these arrows. And he's in a lot of pain. And bless this girl, because the most comforting story that she can think of while she's surgically removing arrows from his most delicate wings is the one where she paints her dresser drawers as a 17-year-old.
Have you seen the IKEA?
No.
The thing on Instagram?
No, I haven't.
There's a video and it's all the caption is someone's a Romantasy fan, and it's someone in an IKEA painted on the drawers in the finger paint style that we pictured.
That I pictured. So this man is actively dying, and the best comfort she could come up with, this narcissist, is telling him about these dresser drawers that she painted for her and her sisters. And it's like, I don't give a shit what anyone says. In this exact moment, Reese is thinking a poison arrow death would be a welcome relief.
From hearing her incessant talking.
No, from having to spend eternity with a wife where when he comes home every day from a hard day's work, he's like, what piece of furniture did she ruin with Sharpies today? Like a toddler who got into the art drawer. That's what he's thinking. Like, these are my options. I could die here, or I could have a wife that ruins my furniture every day I leave with finger paints. And I don't care. I don't care how much he loves her. I don't care that they're mates. I don't give a shit about any of it. He's thinking to himself in that moment, take me now. It has to be. It has to be. Because she's explaining to him, I painted fire and flowers, and it's just like, girl.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
And remember, this isn't like, he's not talking about the next 40 years. These people live forever. Do you know how many furniture items she could inappropriately paint in 1,000 years? It would be insane. It would be absolutely insane. So he's not getting better. He's actually like, she gets all the arrows out, and he's like, you saved my life, and it's just absolutely an adorable moment. But he passes out because despite the fact that the arrows are out, they're full of poison. So she goes out to find the cereal again. Or here's what I wonder.
Is it one?
This is right. So it is. She finds the same one, but how? Because cereal seems to me to be a species.
I thought it was a species as well, but
Right, but she finds the same guy, and here's what I'm going to tell you.
Or maybe it's like a hive mind.
We're supposed to be afraid of them. They're supposed to be really scary and creepy. And bless the narrator for the graphic audio, because he does his best to make me scared. And in my head, they're like Dobby from Harry Potter.
In my head, they're the penguin when Danny DeVito played the penguin.
Oh, okay.
I picture that.
It's just,
Like a hunchback, maybe some wings, but like round more than it is tall.
we're supposed to be afraid of them, but they've never really done anything but help her.
Yeah.
Or he. Because
It.
it's it.
Yeah.
It, right? So she goes out, she catches this cereal. He tells her what the poison is, whatever the name of it is, and that she can save her mate by giving him some of her blood and making him eat this pink flower that she can find over there in the meadow. And she's like, okay, cool, thanks. Wait, my what? And he's like, yeah, you could save your mate by doing X, Y, and Z. And she's like, could you speak slower? What did you say?
Can you say that again?
And he is giggling. He's like, oh, wait, you didn't know? And she's like, no, I didn't know. And then she asks him, did Reese know? And this motherfucker keeps spilling the tea, and he's like, oh yeah, he's known for like a hot minute. And then he goes to tell her more, and she's like, that's enough. He can tell me. And he was like, all right, can you cut me down from... You got me hung up here by like one leg, and yeah, cut me down. I'm good to go. And she does, and off he goes. And so she gets back to the cave, and I understand why she's upset, but in my head, she's disproportionately upset. Okay?
Yes.
Because keep in mind, he's the perfect man, number one. And number two, he saved her life like at least 100 times on record. All right? And she comes in and she's at a 10. She is at an absolute 10. She's like, eat this flower, drink my blood. And he's like, oh, like, it's a weird scene, but like, okay, like, he's scared. So he's just like, well, sure, whatever you say, whatever you say. And then she's like, you're not allowed to ask any questions. He's like, but she's like, did I stutter? Like, don't ask me any questions. How long did you know you're my mate? And he was like, how did you find out? She's like, did I say don't ask me any questions? It's this crazy scene. And he's like, all right, listen, I've known. Right? I felt the bond under the mountain, which now at this point is
while ago.
Quite a ways back, right? And after you almost died, I had a feeling. And I wanted to tell you, but in his defense, she was supposedly in love and engaged to another man. He was just trying to let her figure it out on her own.
Yeah.
This is a noble cause he has. And she is not fucking having it. And she, to further the blow, is like, does anyone else know? And he probably should have just...
Lied.
Yeah. Yeah.
He should have fucking lied through his teeth.
Or just passed out again. Like, you almost just died. Like, you could have just fainted.
Like, exactly.
Just, like, pretend you're delirious. Like, you have a lot of leeway here. And he's like, Maura and Amryn, no. Azrael and Cassian, they have some pretty strong inclinations. And it's like, we all have pretty strong inclinations,
You
Feyre.
idiots.
You're the only one who didn't.
Yeah.
And the boys have a good idea, but like whatever. And then he says to her, but like in my defense, you lied. You said you were just using me to have sex and have a good time. And then you also said back, remember when you told me I was a hot mess who would never amount to anything? And it's like, Feyre, you did.
You said all that.
Things. And did you think that felt good for Reese? Did you think it made him feel good?
Not.
It didn't.
He's a sensitive boy.
And this bitch, she is indignant. And she's like, but you promised me no secrets and no games. Bitch, you have been legit playing games since the first page of this book. Okay? You knew you loved him back during the Star Fairy Festival where you splattered weird fucking spirit paint all over his face. You knew it then and you didn't tell him. It's enough. Enough is enough. And he tells her, like, listen, I'm really sorry, but you're kind of torturing me. And BT dubs, the only reason we just got shot out of the sky is because I was so distracted by you and all the shit and, like, thinking I love you, but you didn't really love me and you just were using me for my dick. And BT dubs also, Feyre, did you ever think about using him for his dick could be traumatizing because he was a rape victim for 50 years? Did you think of that?
No.
She did not. So did you think of that when you were telling him, like, I just want a distraction and to have fun? He has trauma.
He is a man that knows his trauma.
Read his trauma, Feyre. And she doesn't think because she's a dodo. So she's like, winnow me out of here. I've had it with you. So he does, even though he can't really winnow all the way into the house because he's full of poison. And he gets them, like, back to the Illyrian camp. She's like, Moore, take me somewhere. I need to be alone. And I think Moore has, like, the Imogen conflict here where she was like, I like you, but, like, you realize that that's my boy, right? Like,
yeah.
Her loyalty is to Reese. And she likes Feyre. She's part of the family. But also, like, don't talk shit about me to my friend. We've all been in that situation, and it sucks. But she's good, right? She's like, okay. She takes Feyre to essentially their, like, family cabin in the woods. It's been in their family for generations. It's super dope. I want to live there. It is rustic.
Yes.
It is perfect. It is
magical.
It's magical in a way that it takes care of you. It runs you hot baths. It gives you food. And you can only be in there if you're part of the family. So it lets Feyre in because she's the mate. And it's an LL Bean catalog ad is what's happening here.
Yep.
With magic.
Yep.
And Moore drops her off and gives her, like, a little bit of a rundown. It's only for family. It's spelled to take care of you. I just want to live in this cabin. And Feyre, guess what? You left Reese. You promised him.
You
right
wouldn't.
before he got shut up. You'd never leave him, and you did it anyway. And Moore's real quick trying to, like, tell her, like, I get why this is fucked, but, like, you realize he's... And she tries to, like, sell him up, and Feyre, with the audacity of Feyre, is just not having it. And she's like, okay, all right, well, I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to come back in a couple days to make sure you're not dead. And Feyre makes her promise she's not going to tell Rhys where she is. And Moore, bless her soul, is like, yeah, no problem. I'm out of here. Fills the place up with groceries. So within 5 minutes of Feyre being there, she realizes, well, this mate thing might not be so bad because it'll absolve me of the slut-shaming I was doing in my own head to Tamlin.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just a whore who left him because she likes someone else. Like, this is this is a mating bond. Like, this is serious. So, and it's like, that's the first place your head goes. But okay, all right, that's neither here nor there. And within 5 minutes of her being there as well, she realizes why Rhys did what he did, and she feels kind of guilty about it. She's like, well, I said I'd never leave him. But does she go back?
No, she stays there for like 4 days.
Right. Do you go back and be an adult? No, she stays there. And when she gets bored, she starts snooping through the house. She's opening drawers. She's opening cabinets. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. We would all do the same thing.
100%. I'm not judging her for it. I get it.
But it's just annoying because it's Feyre doing it. So
well, yes.
she goes,
and she breathes and it's annoying.
Right. So she goes through and she knows she's wrong. She knows she's going to take him back, but she doesn't let up. And she goes through the whole
She
house.
lets him stew.
She does. And it's not even stew. He's just like depressed.
It's so nasty.
And while she's going through, the worst thing that could possibly happen in this scenario happens.
She finds paint.
And
if she wasn't insufferable before...
While it's really obvious that this place is sacred to Rhys, it's sacred to the whole inner circle, it's sacred to his family. While this is an LL Bean catalog, I mean, even the clothes that are left for her there, she's in, like, leggings with, like, wool socks and, like, a gauzy sweater. I mean, it is 10 out of 10, a woodsy retreat.
And what does she do, sissy?
She paints the whole place. And she doesn't just change the color scheme. She is doing Feyre art on the walls. She's painting pictures. She covers
everything
surface of this rustic Pottery Barn cabin with whatever she so chooses. The disrespect of this action, I will think about it for the rest of my life.
Yes, she's awful. She's the worst.
She's painting people's
homes.
Eyes, okay?
It wasn't even the man she loves. It's Azriel. Isn't it Azriel's eyes?
Yeah, and because she can't paint Rhys's because they would be too traumatic for her. And she's painting scenes and landscapes. Who would do this to someone's home?
Correct.
Feyre would. And
I can't even roll my eyes enough.
So it's funny because Moore, now a couple days goes by and Moore shows up to check on her like she said that she would. And I imagine in my brain, Moore opens the door and she's absolutely fucking
gobsmacked.
Gobsmacked is the perfect word for it. And I think the actual quote is, nice. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to say. She says nice. And then she's like, oh, but like, where are my eyes? And Feyre's like, oh, I didn't do yours. And she was like, well, just so you know, this place is kind of like a retreat for the boys. So if we're going to have eyes, like put mine so I could like kind of trying to joke about it. Like, so when they're up here just drinking and having a good time, they can remember that like I'm watching them. She's trying to make a joke about it, but she's obviously remarkably uncomfortable because who wouldn't be?
She got her house graffitied by Feyre, of all people.
Right, it's finger painted.
It is finger painted.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then this somehow turns into Feyre still asking more questions about her sex life. I thought we had covered all of this. And essentially what Moore tells Feyre in this moment, this is kind of fucked, is that, yeah, Azriel probably wants to bone me. This is Moore speaking. Azriel probably wants to bone me, but like, he is so insecure about himself because he's a bastard that, like, he doesn't think he deserves me. And I'm like, do you want him or no? Because now I'm confused, too. And now I'm also kind of intrigued. And then Feyre's like, but wait, do you want to fuck him? And Moore's like, why are you asking me this? It's none of your business. And that's the end of that conversation. And we're all just like, interesting. And Moore also reminds her, like, hey, by the way, like, I know Rhys didn't tell you this one thing, but you do realize, like, come to your senses, like how lucky you are to have found him and to have found all of us. Like, you get that, right? And Feyre's like, oh yeah, like I kind of do, but whatever. So they have.
But my name's Feyre, and I'm just annoying.
I'm extra Feyre-y. So they have a little sleepover with the two of them, and Moore paints some stick figures on the wall to be part of it. And the next day she leaves. And Feyre continues painting the house for another, I think, 2 days. She's
up there for...
She's up there for forever, and she knows she's wrong. She knows she's going to forgive Rhys.
And
but she stays in this cabin.
She lets him fester.
Right. So someone's knocking on the door a couple days later. She thinks it's Moore coming, and she's like, oh, I'm so bored. Like, this will be great. But it's not Moore. It's Rhys. And he's finally found her, and he can't use magic, so he's been flying around the snow-capped mountains looking for her. He's freezing. The man is cold, okay? So
Poor Rhys.
Poor Rhys is right. Poor Rhys is right. You can't choose who you love, but god damn it, Rhys. So she sees him, and she finally suddenly remembers that he's the world's most perfect man. But then, this is really funny. She has the audacity, and again, a lot of these problems are self-inflicted from this being Feyre's point of view. When he shows up, she for a minute has the audacity to think to herself, do you think he feels about me the way Azriel feels about Moore? Do you think he thinks I'm too good for him? And it's like, oh my god. Girl, baby girl.
She's Delulu. Feyre's Delulu.
Feyre, I hope all of your Delulu comes true, but girl.
God.
Uh-huh.
To think so highly of oneself.
And it's just cringy. So he walks in and he's like, oh, you,
redecorated.
Oh, you painted us. Trying to absolutely mask the horror he feels at the sight of his only fucking reprieve on planet Earth
being Feyrified.
Graffitied. Graffarid. Graffarid, okay? So he sits down, and she was like, you must be hungry. Let me cook for you. And this is horrible. She's like, his heart stops. She's like, you're going to cook for me? And she's like, oh, I can't cook. I'm gonna heat you up a can of Campbell's Chunky. Like, this is what I could do for you. Why are you so impressed by me doing a
heated up
Progresso? A Progresso chicken noodle. And he's like, well, just so you know, when it comes up to the mating bond, it's a really big deal the first time the woman cooks for the man. The bar is the actual
floor.
Okay? And if he eats the Campbell soup, it means she's accepted the mating bond. And she's like, well, while I cook is a real...
While this heats up.
Right. While I stir this can
Prove it
sodium
to me.
And pasta... Prove your shit to me, and then we'll see if I hand it to you to eat. And this poor man starts spilling his guts, right? He spills his guts. He tells her about the First War and how he gets captured by Amarantha, and then his dad comes to save him, and it's this whole backstory. And when the end of the war comes, he's pissed off because he's jacked up from the war. He gets super injured. And the treaty that's signed lets Amarantha and Hybern go. And he is not happy about that. He has PTSD about it. And where do they go? Cassie and Azriel take him to this retreat in the woods. And they just are supposed to decompress there and get over their PTSD from the war. Amarantha comes back like hundreds of years later. Tamlin, who he's already enemies with because of the dead dad situation, is the only person that doesn't fall, in his defense, is the only person that doesn't fall for Amarantha's bullshit. And he sees that and, like, believes him because Amarantha and Tamlin's dad were buddy-buddy. They were super close friends. And Rhys goes into this meeting thinking he's going to kill her. He doesn't care if it's a suicide mission. He's going to kill her. But unfortunately, he drinks the poison that everyone else drinks to lose his powers before he can do that. And in that moment is when he decides to, like, wipe everyone's memory who's there about Valeris, protect his friends, send out a shield, like, all of these, like, altruistic acts that he does in a minute's notice. And what we find out here is that Amarantha kills basically half of the Night Court people right then and there as, like, a punishment for them killing Tamlin's dad.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, he gets fucked, and it's, like, super traumatic. And he decides that he's gonna kind of go along with banging her to gain her trust and keep her from, like fucking up anyone else he loves. That's right. He does every single thing that he does. And this goes on for 50 years, we know. So let's call it 47 years in, 3 years before all of this starts. He starts to have all these dreams. And he's dreaming about this human girl, this human painter.
I hate that that's a describing word used for her.
Right. And these dreams are what keep him going, because his life is miserable. He's a sex slave. And he knows that she's his mate at this point. Like, he figures it out.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to admit it to himself. He doesn't want to admit it to anyone else, because he knows that it's like a weakness for him. And like, she would get tortured if Amarantha ever knew. And he has this whole crisis of conscience. But he tells her, he realizes that this festival's coming up. He sees it in a dream. He tells Amarantha, I need to go. Because remember, Tamlin is the only hope that all these people under the mountain have this whole time for the 50 years. So he's like, listen, this bargain's about to be up. I need to go check on him and see, like, what's going on over there. And she's so paranoid at this point, she
allows it, yeah.
And she lets him go to the sex festival, the crop sex festival, where he finds Feyre for the first time. And he finds her with those creepy dudes who are about to, like, sexually assault her. And he realizes right there, for sure, like, something's up here.
Yeah.
And he thinks for, like, it's, like, sick, because he thinks, like, at least I got to meet this girl for, like, 1 second of my... This is, like, heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Like, at least I got to meet her for, like,
this is pretty sad. Yeah, you're
life.
right. This is pretty sad.
I don't really care that I'll never get to see her again. Like, she was my mate, and, like, he's so happy to have that, like, super brief encounter. And Amarantha's like, bring me back some traitors. So you know who he brings back to Amarantha is the 3 creepy motherfuckers who were going to sexually assault her in the woods. And he trades them to get tortured real quick. Doesn't feel an ounce of remorse about it, as he should not. So time goes on again, and now he also realizes that he's got to go see Tamlin, because he figures out from the dreams that she's in his court. So that's why he breaks into the house in the first place. So he gets Amarantha to let him go again, and that's why he breaks in. He breaks into Tamlin's mind. He's like, you got to let this girl go home, because he knows she's the fulfillment of the prophecy, and if she comes into the night court, Amarantha's going to kill her. So all of that was for show.
Right.
It's literally all to protect Feyre. So he does that, and she gets sent home, and when she gives him Claire's name, he doesn't think, like none of us would. He knows it's not her name, because it's in her brain. But he doesn't realize that Claire is a real person.
Right.
So unfortunately, when Amarantha goes to get Claire, he feels like shit.
Right.
You know? And he tells her in this moment, like at this, like, come to Jesus at the dining room table over the, can of hot soup. He tells her, like, we all feel bad about this, but just so you know, I broke into her brain and like cut her off from the pain, and then Mercy killed her. So that girl was tortured, but like he protected her to the best of his abilities. And when Feyre finally shows up under the mountain, this is when he decides, like, I have something, like, to fight for. And that's when we see, like, obviously we're with it through the whole book, so we see the progression of it. And when she's being tortured at the end, he's like, I don't care about anything else. Like, I just knew if you were going to die, I was going to die with you. And, like, I was going to try to save you, which is more than Tamlin ever did. And, like, this whole thing is just, like, just makes you want to throw up.
Yeah. But they have each other now.
All right, so we're getting there. But anyway, the bond gets locked in once she becomes a High Fae, and, like, that's when the actual mating bond, like, locks. So he feels it, but he knows she's in love with Tamlin, so he lets her go. He lets her go.
Yeah.
Oh, he lets her go. He knows, and he lets her go. So when he gets home after 50 years and he sees more, imagine, it's been 50 freaking years, and the first thing he does is, like, diarrhea of the mouth, and he's like, I found my mate. And, he tries to leave her alone for 3 months. He tries to leave her alone. He wants her to just live her life, even though he knows that it's wrong. And on her wedding day to Tamlin, his plan was to go out and get drunk with Cassian. And you know what? I respect that plan, because I would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Until he hears her begging for help. And that's when he goes. And now this is kind of like how we wind up where we are. So Feyre, melting into her sodium can of soup... She already knew, but she let him spill his guts anyway. I know,
she already knew she was going to take him back.
And she gives him the soup, and he eats the soup, and they're in love. They confess their love for each other.
Over a bowl of Progresso.
Over a bowl of canned soup. It's not how I would have done it, but it's where we are. So they both confess, like, I love you, and now, okay, we're in it, we're a couple. And now we're in, I gotta remember, it's a famous chapter. Like the famous chapter in this book. And like you could get mugs that have the number of the chapter of this sex scene that we're about to stumble upon. I think it's 55 or 54. It's somewhere in the 50s. It's like somewhere between 54 and 56.
I think it is 56 because I think that Rose is saying she wanted to be part of this one just for this specific part.
I have unpopular opinions about this. So they finally get it on. And bless, because we've wanted them to get it on the whole time. In my humble opinion, their fucking is a little boring. But that's okay, because I don't expect more from Feyre than boring sex.
Because she is just a boring creature.
Correct. And you know what? Bless. Because they're happy, they're doing it, they're super into what they're doing. The problem that I have that I will never get past a day in my life is that they're fucking in the paint. Okay? There's paint everywhere. It's on them. It's inside of them. It's unexplainable.
It's probably equal to my feeling of glitter.
Can high fae get UTIs? Because that's right
what
where
is
my
happening.
brain goes,
Yep.
right? Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to go to a doctor.
You just said you're going to have to go to a doctor.
Well, she is going to have to go to a doctor.
She's 100% going to have to go to a doctor.
And the whole thing stresses me out. I don't like it. It gives me the ick. It makes my skin crawl. And I know people like this, and if you love this scene, I want you to be happy. I'm happy for you.
We are not shaming anyone for their preferences.
I am not here to yuck your yum, but sex with paint everywhere and mess in that way, and like paint's getting in crevices.
It's the same of sand.
Oh my god.
Couldn't the least sexy thing is sand.
But she's an artist, and they do their thing, and God bless. We are off to the races with Feyre and Rhys. So now they're super in love. Everything's official. They spend some time hanging out, talking. They bang a lot in this cabin. And Feyre is real surprised by how much sex they're having, and I am 0% surprised that Feyre is surprised by this. Okay? I'm going to leave it at that. Rhys essentially tells her, like, listen, we can do whatever you want. You want to get married? We could get married. You want to have a mating ceremony? We could have a mating ceremony. We could not. We could have babies. We could not have babies. Like, I don't give a shit. I have you.
And
We're
that's
good to
it.
go, and
Yeah.
that's all that matters. And this is, like, super not what she's used to, because she's used to shit, and he's the absolute best. So eventually they have to break out of this little sex holiday that they're having and go back to the Illyrian war camp because it's time to go back to real life. When they get back to the Illyrian war camp, Cassian, bless his heart, just starts talking shit like right away. He's like, where have you two been? Oh, Feyre, like, do I get a chance? And Rhys just starts, they brawl.
Yeah, they brawl.
And Cassian did this on purpose. Essentially, he was mad snarky and disrespectful because he knew, like, once, like, an Illyrian male or, like, a male has this mating bond, they essentially become an animal. They're insatiable. They're supposed to, like, stay inside for, like, weeks on end.
Yeah.
But they have business to take care of. And
Cassian, like, the world ending.
Right. So Cassian essentially knows his friend, and he was like, yo, he's going to have some pent-up hostility. We better get it out of the way right now. And that's what friends do. They beat the shit out of each other outside for an hour. Essentially because men become animals when they're mates. Literally, when they roll up, like, Illyrian women and children are fleeing to the skies because they want no part of, like, what savage behavior is going to go down. So after they fight, Rhys bangs her, like, on the kitchen table real quick, and between the fighting and the kitchen table banging, he's like, I got my shit together. I could go out in public. We're ready to go. And the whole crew...
Put me in, coach.
Like, all right, I have 48 hours of being able to be a normal human being. So they go back to the townhouse, and everyone, like, swears their loyalty in the little inner circle to Feyre. And she's like, but I thought we were friends. And they're like, no, we're still friends, but, like, just letting you know, we already would have, but, like, we're gonna kill for you. And it's just, it's super cute. Super adorbs. And...
super adorbs.
Right. So they have the meeting... They're supposed to have this new meeting with the human witches to figure out whether or not they're going to give them the other half of this book. So they set it up. It's back at, like, Feyre's family's house, and they roll up, and only 3 of the 6 witches. Remember, last time it was 5 of the 6. Now only 3 roll up. And they're like, where are the other ones? And they're like, well, actually, Nesta was such a cunt last time. We really hate her, so they felt so disrespected they didn't come. And that's just a testament to
How
Nesta.
shitty.
To Nesta, really. I mean, yeah, I don't like her. I'll never like her. But like,
No, I was gonna say how shitty these women
They are.
That's what I was gonna say. Nothing about Nesta. Nesta.
she's a bad bitch. But like, she's not my taste, but she is a bad bitch. Like, you have to give it to her. And these witches, or these queens, really hate her. So they go through their shtick and they show them Valeris, right, which was their whole plan. They use their little orb that they've had to fight to get, and they show them Valeris, and they think that these queens are going to be like, all right,
Sign us up.
everything looks great, sign us up. Feyre knows that this is a bad idea the whole time, but essentially the queens are like, oh, that was great, that looked really nice, but we're not going to give you
The book.
We don't really trust you. This could all be mind control. And it's like, you come to the realization that nothing that they could do
was gonna do, yeah.
Nothing. Nothing mattered, right? And Nesta steps in and loses her shit. And she's like, you need to give us the book. Like, she tells these women about themselves. And in a really quick moment, but it means a lot, especially when you get to the end of the series, Cassian, like, steps in and he was like, Nesta, like, he promises, like, no matter what happens, like, I'm going to protect you and I'm going to protect your family. And, like, we all swoon because Cassian is daddy, really. And
I love him.
Right. And it's foreshadowing, right? Like, if, I'm sure most people who are listening to this have read the whole situation, but like it sets the tone, it sets the vibe for what's to come. And we're all swooning. We're collectively swooning, Cassian. And the queens finally leave, and we realize that the youngest one, right, the blonde one, she had actually, in a baller move, smuggled in their half of this book and like hid it under the table when she pretended she dropped like her scarf or her napkin or some shit like that. And she leaves the half a book and she leaves a note with it, essentially saying that like, I share the vision that you guys have for like a fair world. And I was super moved because Rhys had like written a love letter about Feyre to these queens, and it moved this blonde one. She felt it, she felt the vibes, she loved the vibes. And also in this letter, she's like, by the way, don't trust these other bitches, which, duh, we already didn't. And they were lying, and the sixth one of us, she wasn't actually sick. So don't trust them. They're all sketchy as shit. And here's the book. If anyone asks, like, say you stole it. No props. So Rhys kind of, at this point, looks at Nesta and Elaine because everyone knows they're about to get fucked. And Rhys is like, do you want to come back? You can stay with us. You just saw the city, right? You were with us. You saw in the little orb. You saw how amazing it is. Do you want to come live with us? And Nesta's like, it's up to you, Elaine. And Elaine won't leave because of her shitty, Faye-hating fiance. And this is it's going to prove to be a very egregious mistake. But they let them make it because what are they? They're not going to kidnap them, right? And Rhys essentially tells them, like, I'm going to leave protection here, which is a death sentence for anyone who's leaving to protect the house. Yeah. But he does it. He leaves like a legion of soldiers to protect the house. And he's like, you guys are welcome whenever you want to come. Because he's the ultimate man.
Yep. Yes.
And off they go. And they head back to Valeris. And they kind of start, everyone's preparing for war in their own way. So we know that we have the Illyrians who are going to fight for them. We know that we have the soldiers kind of the Court of Nightmares, which they're trying to like lock down. But we know that they're going to fight. And we don't really know what the queens are going to do. That's what they're waiting to see. What are these queens going to do? And nothing really comes of the fact that they have this book. We don't know. Do the queens know that they have it? It's kind of up in the air. So Rhys has to go down to the Court of Nightmares to prepare for this war and like solidify the armies. And while he's doing that, Feyre's missing him, and she's a little annoyed because he left Asriel and Cassian to guard her. And she's like, I don't need guards. And he's like, actually, you do. And
yes.
While everyone's preparing for war, why not? Feyre and them go out for a night on the town.
Well,
they catch a show. They catch a show and they're shopping around Valeris because I would be sitting at home shitting my pants.
Right. Yep.
I don't think I would have a mind to go to the theater or to the orchestra or wherever the fuck they go, but they do. And they're out on the town shopping. She's like buying gifts for her siblings and like they're just living a normal, let's call it Saturday night. And while this is happening, in the midst of this like very normal night, Valeris gets attacked. After 5,000 years. Think of 5,000 years. Like, we live in the United States of America. Like, we were not here 5,000 years ago. Think of the depth of that number.
Culture and like that, yeah.
And they get absolutely like blindsided attacked. So we have the adder who comes in, who we see right away. And then we have these other creatures that like are the same species, let's call them, right? They're like creatures that look like the adder, and they're essentially carrying in highborn soldiers. So we have these creepy monsters. Then we have a legion of actual soldiers.
Yeah.
And they just descend upon this city, completely taking them by surprise. And it's horrible. This whole scene is absolutely horrible. And immediately Cass and Azriel are trying to tell her, like, you need to go home, get to the townhouse.
Yeah.
And she's like, absolutely not. These are my people now. I'm going to stand fight. And for a minute you kind of roll your eyes, but it's a respectable decision.
It was respectable for,
And so she does. So she stays and she kind of fights. And then we have this absolutely disturbing scene where they're like, what's that? And like these creatures are carrying in, it's obviously like a human body. And they stake her, right? Like they stake. And it turns out to be the blonde queen, like the human queen that gave them the book. And they impale her on a pole in the middle of the city. And they have gouged her eyeballs out.
Yeah.
And then we realize she's not even dead.
Yep.
She's impaled and eyeless, and she's gasping for breath, like staked in the middle of the city. And Feyre flips out. She's like, I have to help her. But before we can help her, by a miracle, God knows how long she had been tortured for, she dies. Which was obviously gonna happen, but like, oh, like oil in my throat, like, with the missing eyes and the gasping for breath. It's just horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And they realize that like they've clearly tortured her for a while, and I think at that point Feyre's like, I'm gonna make a run for the townhouse. I'm gonna do it. And she starts to go. They tell her, like, so we get to see in this scene, we get to see everyone's power that we've known is there. But like, we've known that these are all badasses, but this is when you kind of really get to see it.
Yeah.
Azriel, Cassian. But the power that really is the baddest of asses,
Amryn. What a bad bitch.
Amryn,
what a bad bitch.
Out, and it's like, from how they describe it, she's kind of just like pointing at people and then they're dead.
Yeah, like, and waves of people, not even singular people. She took out waves of people.
And it's like, how could they ever lose anything? This woman. Now, Rhys is still missing because he's under the mountain. Like, he doesn't know. He's in the court of Nightmares. Like, he doesn't really know what's going on. And then Amryn comes out, and yes, she's just, like, pointing at people, and they're passing away in droves. And we do find out later, but, like, I'll just say it now. Like, how she's killing them is so savage. She basically breaks into their mind, and, like, these people thought that they were, like, jumping into the ocean, but they were just falling out of the air. She mind tricks them into just
like allowing themselves to die.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick. Oh, we just love her. We absolutely love her.
So grateful she's on our side.
Yes.
Beyond grateful.
Right. So, Feyre takes off towards the townhouse, and her initial plan is, I'm going to get to the townhouse. It's warded to shit, right? Like, this townhouse is warded to high heavens. No one's getting in that. She's going to grab as many people as she can and hide them in the townhouse, which is a pretty noble idea.
In the moment, it's all she could, it's like the only thing she could guarantee doing.
Right. Except for the fact that when she passes the arts district,
yes,
she sees that they're under attack, and since she is an artist and those are her
people,
she decides that she will die defending her craft before anything else.
I need you to stop putting things like this because it makes me even more heated about her than I already am. Cause sure, it's a noble cause, but like, idiot.
It's just
idiot.
It's
stupid.
We have to stop to make fun of her for just one quick second. But what I will say is when she gets there, she does some badass shit.
Yeah.
Okay? So yes, we can laugh about the finger painting and her identification as a member of the arts community because it's hilarious. But in her defense, when she rolls up and she sees, like, because there's some, like, gallery owners, like, there's the people in this district who are, think of it, they're artists, right? But they're fighting, and, like, it inspires her. And she, in the coolest move, she manipulates the water from the river.
Yeah.
And she turns the water into a bunch of wolves.
Yep.
Okay? She makes a pack of water wolves that just start eating the soldiers. I mean, it's bad
It is
bitch
pretty
behavior.
cool. Yeah.
It's bad bitch behavior.
It's cool.
Yes, we have to in this now she's going to piss us off again before the end of the book. But in this scenario, she's cool, right?
Yeah.
And so she does that.
I'll give her her moment to shine.
We're gonna. So she does that, and then, like, she scales to the top of a building, and she sees that the adder, like, the main adder, right? The one that Azrael tortured.
She was also, like, throwing water up in the air and then freezing it, and then they were falling and shattering.
And she was suffocating people with water.
Yep.
I mean, she's
doing figuring it out.
She's doing her part. She does not, yes.
But then she sees the main adder.
So she sees the main adder, and she goes up to, like, the top of the building, and she intercepts this thing, and she essentially turns into a flame. She turns into fire, and she burns this thing alive, and then stabs it to death. I mean, she kills this
all
thing.
by, like, free falling and, like, winnowing in and out, so winnowing out the last possible second so she doesn't die.
She kills this thing in a savage way that just makes you have to respect Feyre. You have to. And while this is all happening, Rhys comes out from underground, and he's in the bond, like, where are you? And she's like, I'm busy, and she shuts him off. And it's like, okay, Feyre, okay, yeah, we see you. We absolutely see you. So she kills the adder. They eventually get this whole situation under control, right? They kill all the soldiers, they kill all these creatures, and they reward the city. And everyone kind of regroups, right? We're back at the town. After they get it, like, everyone's exhausted. They kind of have to get everyone figured out. They're trying to clean up the mess that's here. And they wind up in the townhouse. And it's like, well, what the heck are we going to do now? Like, how did they get through? And it's like, yeah, like, the wards are up again. But, like, can they come again? Like, no one really... This is uncharted territory for everyone. And in this moment, Amren's like, don't worry, guys, because I figured out the book that we've all been trying to figure out. And it's pretty simple. Feyre.
Is it now? Tell us how it's so simple, please.
Feyre girl, since you're maid, the words that I've clearly written on this sheet of loose leaf for you, you just have to stand in front of the cauldron, and you have to recite them, and then it will be nullified. And
that's all she had to do. That's it.
It's a pretty simple plan.
So simple.
And in this moment...
Perfect, even.
And in this moment, Morgan is like, well, this seems crazy, because we have both parts of the book. Why don't we put it together and make the whole book? And Amren, the creature that's old and wise...
That scares the shit out of everyone, including Rhys.
That's been around since the beginning of time, is like, hey, guys, under no circumstances whatsoever should we put these two pieces of the book back together. Why, you might ask? Because it will cause the absolute destruction of the world. Not only will it alert every real enemy that we have that you know about, that we have the book, but ancient monsters will crawl out of their graves from the beginning of time and come back to life. Just hear me out. Under no circumstances are we to put these two halves of the book together to make a whole book. And we're like, okay, cool.
Two pieces of, like, direction. That's all they were given.
Feyre, you just have to read this
piece of paper.
And then the world is saved. And it's like, okay, how are we going to do that? And they have a plan. And the plan, again, it's pretty straight. Moore and Rhys are going to winnow everyone to the edge of town. Because remember, they can track Rhys's magic. So Rhys can't go into the Highburn King's palace, if you will. It'll be a beacon. They'll be caught. So Azrael, Cassian, Moore, and Feyre are going to go in. They know right within the footprint of the castle where the cauldron is. She's going to stand in front of it. She's going to read the words that Amren has politely written down on this sheet of paper.
So clear. So concise.
The cauldron will be nullified if something goes wrong, and the cauldron cannot be nullified. They're going to take the cauldron back to Valeris and figure it out there. All right? Everyone just has to do their part. And Rhys is like, so you want my mate to go without me? And everyone is like, it has to be. And in this moment, Rhys does not tell Feyre she cannot go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Because he's a good man, a better man, autonomy.
And also in this moment, just maybe not in this moment, but in an adjacent moment, Feyre's like, well, we're going to have separate rooms, right? Because Tamlin always liked his own room. And Rhys is like, no, we're mates and we're married. Like, we're going to share the same room. And she swoons. And it's like, so between being allowed to go on the mission and sharing a bedroom, the bar is the floor, but she realizes for the 50th time how good she has it.
Thank God.
She realizes for the 50th time that her last boyfriend was really shitty. We've been going through this for probably 700 pages at this point, but it's just, maybe this will be the last time. I don't really know. So she's like, I'm going to do it. Reese respects her decision. They're going to bed, right? The night before this big mission. And I'm not going to lie to you. I think this is my favorite part of the book. Reese gives her a ring. One might call it an engagement ring, right? And she's like, wow, this looks really familiar. And he's like, yeah, you broke into the Weaver's house to get it and you almost died. And she's like, oh, cool story. And he's like, this was my mom's. And I had it my whole life, but then she took it at the end because it's supposed to be passed down through, like, the women of the family. And she gave it to the Weaver, and his mom, before she died, basically made him promise that when he found a girl to marry, she would have to break into the Weaver's house to get it, just to prove that she was badass enough to marry him. And I'm like, I stand the shit out of your dead mom. In my brain, and you know, the physical description that authors give to characters in books mean nothing to me. I gloss right over them, and they look how they look in my head. Okay? Like, that is the answer. Like, hilarious. Like, the words on the paper mean nothing to me because they're going to be what they're going to be in my head no matter
how many times you read it. Yeah.
Yeah. And none of I will discuss that at a later date because not even close most of the time. So in my brain, Reese is a Xaden, right? He's not white. He's dark. Okay? He's not white. He's maybe, he could be Latino. He could be Middle Eastern. Like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But he's not a white man. But in this moment, his mom is Italian and she's from Long Island. It changed
this moment,
it changed his entire ethnicity to me.
Yes.
That, she's Sicilian.
Yes. With the wooden spoons.
One gazillion percent.
Gravy Sundays.
I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but I'm just telling you how it is in my brain. So,
oh, man.
I stand Reese's mom, and Feyre's like, I want to wear this ring, but it's probably not a great idea to wear it tomorrow for this, but, like, I'm going to come back for it. So they go to bed, they wake up, they put their plan into action. All is going as planned.
All they're doing is walking.
They're walking. They get into the castle, okay? They're on a mission to get to the cauldron. They know where it is. Nothing goes wrong. They get to the cauldron. And the cauldron and the book essentially start mentally taunting Feyre. And they start telling Feyre, combine both parts of the book. Now, Amryn has told us very specifically not to do that. But her mental willpower here is not strong. And it basically, like, kind of taunts her with power.
Okay.
It's taunting her, like, if you put us together, you could do anything. And, like we're supposed, like, this book is supposed to be together. And, like, without consulting anyone. She just does it.
What a fucking moron.
She joins the two parts of the book.
God, she's the worst.
She's not the worst. But she had one task.
One job.
And that task was to read the words on the paper and not join the two parts of the book. And she can't handle it. And shit goes a little wild. She kind of has a power blackout. And by the time that power blackout is over, she thinks, I'm going to start reading the words on the paper. But she cannot because Jurian is there. Jurian, raised from the dead. Remember, he was once an eyeball and a finger around Amarantha's neck. He's back. And she can't follow instructions, and she's ruined everything. The whole thing was a trap, okay? And Jurian, all he gives, to his credit, all he gives a shit about is where Miriam is. And they're like, Miriam's dead. And he's like, I don't buy it. And they're like, oh, actually, okay, you're right. She's not dead. She's living happily ever after with her mate that she loves on an island you'll never find. And I'm like, so we're baiting this guy.
We couldn't have done a little bit better waiting to bait him.
So we're baiting this guy. Okay, no problem. And suddenly, Reese is there. He couldn't stay out of the fight. He didn't want to stay out of the fight to begin with. And he knows his mate is in trouble, so he pops up. And real stealth, he takes the book, which shouldn't have, the full book, the 100%
The 100% put together book.
He takes it from Feyre and he kind of hides it in his clothes. And he's like, we're out of here. But it's awkward because they can't win out.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Shocker.
They can't get out. They are stuck in the castle. And now the king is there, the king of Hybern. And he puts some spells on them, so none of them have power, essentially. He nullifies all of their power. And just to make sure they're fucked, he puts like a poison bolt through Azrael.
Mm-hmm.
Azrael of all people.
Bless him.
He's not the one. You know what I mean? And that's the one. So he puts like a poison tip bolt through Azrael, who's like immediately dying. He's bleeding out on the floor. He can't walk. We have to drag him. And the king's like, all right, meeting in the throne room. So they don't have a choice. They have to go because their friend is at the mercy of the king. Mm-hmm. So off they go into the throne room. And Azrael's bleeding out. They're there. And special guest appearance because who walks in?
Which one?
Sissy. All right. Who walks in? Okay, I'll carry the rest
no,
of
is it? Well, it could be a couple people. Is it the Tam?
It's Lucian and it's Tampon.
Tam and Lucian. Okay.
Tampon and Lucian are there. And immediately we're all kind of like, what the heck is going on here? And it turns out that Tammy Tam and Lucian by proxy, probably not actually, have made a bargain with Hybern. And their bargain is that they're
little pricks.
Yeah, they're pricks. They're going to trade access to their land. Because remember, the Spring Court is on the border of the human barrier wall. So the bargain here is that Hybern can use their land, can use it as a home base, can use it to take down the wall, and do whatever they want. And Tamlin's not only going to let them, but also going to help them as long as he can exchange this privilege to get Feyre back. And in this moment, they really think that Feyre is going to come running into their arms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awkward because she's not going to do that.
No.
And he keeps going like, Feyre, come on, like, come home. And she's like, am I speaking English? Like, what is happening here? He's just not getting it. His male ego really believes that she's been brainwashed into being with Rhys. And we have a real back and forth here. She finally, in this altercation, says, if you let everyone else go, I'll go with Tamlin. But it's a fake. She doesn't really do that, right? And Tamlin has a moment of recognition where he realizes that it's not just the bond, okay? Mm-hmm. That her and Rhys are actually mates. Not the bond from the, like, arrangement that they made under the mountain. This is deeper than that, and they're legit mates. And she, in a wild move, she, like, apologizes. She says, like, I'm really sorry about this. And I'm like, Feyre, girl, like, okay, all right, that's one way to handle it. Weird play, but like, all right, whatever. She clearly has some fucking trauma she's not through. But then in the next breath, she's like, but if you take me from here, I'm going to destroy everything, everyone you love. And it's like, okay, all right, you're conflicted.
I see where this is coming. Yeah.
You're conflicted. And now, all right, so we have Tamlin, we have Lucian. And then the next guests to this surprise party are the 4 human queens that are left, right? Because we have the one who was quote-unquote sick. We don't know where she is. We have the dead one that was staked in the middle with the no eyeballs. And now we have the 4 that are left. And trailing up the rear of this procession...
Ianthe.
No, Ianthe never shows up to this.
Who is it?
Nesta and Elaine.
Oh, right.
Once Feyre sees her sisters... Feyre understandably starts losing her whole shit. So basically, what happened here is that Jurian got to the queens before Rhys and Feyre did. Okay? And he goes to them on behalf of Hybern, and Hybern has lured them there with the promise of immortality, which is their vain as shit, and that's all that they want. But they don't know that it's super safe to become immortal, so that's why they brought Elaine and Nesta to prove to them that you could just hop into the cauldron and come out super hot and young forever without running the risk of them being the test subjects. We also find out that the real reason that Elaine and Nesta are there is because Ianthe is the one who actually sold them out. In Tamlin's small defense, when he sees the sisters, him and Lucian are just as surprised as everyone else. This was not sanctioned by him. Ianthe betrayed him. Everyone is betraying everyone. Yeah. And Tamlin's a piece of shit, but he had nothing to do with this part of it. Yeah. And even Feyre kind of recognizes that. So when this happens, we have the inner circle. We have Cassian, we have Reese, we have Feyre, and they make one real quick and last futile attempt to fight back.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go well. They're
doesn't go
outnumbered,
well.
they're outmanned, they're outgunned, and Azrael's already dying on the floor, and Cassian gets real fucked up.
Yeah.
They shred his wings. And if you'll remember anything about Illyrians, they would rather die than live without their wings. So they fuck up his wings real bad. And when that happens, everyone takes a beat, all right? Because now they're smart enough to realize their two best friends are on the chopping block, okay? They're not going to fight anymore. Not with Azrael and Cassian on the line. So everyone just chills out. Once everything gets under control again, they use Azrael. The king uses Azrael's life, like, to keep everyone from... To calm everyone down. And Lucian, to be fair, in this... So the first up to hop into the cauldron is going to be Elaine. And in Lucian, bless him, he makes a real feeble attempt to not let her go in. He's like, we had nothing to do with this. Yeah, and he tries. He does try, but nothing really matters. The king's soldiers take Elaine, toss her into the cauldron. She goes down for a minute, and she comes out, and here's what I'm going to say. She comes out hotter than she went in.
Which just says a lot, 'cause she's already pretty hot, apparently.
She's the prettiest, right? So she comes out hotter than she went in, and she's immortal now. Now, I understand she's a fiancé that hates fairies. I get it. I'm not going to lie to you. I struggle here because I would like to go into the cauldron. I would like to be young and hot forever. I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, I do understand what the problem is, but I can't muster up a lot of sympathy for these two. Because they were already hot, and now they get to stay young and hot forever, and... Okay. So when she comes out, they stole them out of bed, so she's in her pajamas. So when Elaine comes out of the cauldron, she's all exposed, her tits are popping out, like her ass is out, and Lucian breaks free from the guards to cover her and be modest and give her his jacket to her and whatever. While this is happening, they're trying to put Nesta in, and bless, because this bitch is not going down without a fight.
She's fighting for her life.
And like in a badass move, right before she goes in, she locks eyes with the king and she points to him because she's like gagged, so she can't say shit. And she points to him, and that point, we all know means like, I'm coming for you. And it's like, oh, okay, girl, okay, like we see you, and like.
Don't they say even he got taken back?
Yes,
by, like
100. Yes, he's a little unsettled because she's a bad bitch. And she, like, it doesn't matter. She goes in... She is fighting the entire way down. And she goes down. And when she comes back, it's unsettling for everyone. Because it is clear that she didn't just get turned the way that Elaine and Feyre got turned. Like, something
went sideways.
Something went sideways in there, right? And, like... She was scary when she went in, and she's real scary when she comes out. And it's in the heat of all this shit, so no one kind of can stop and figure out exactly what's going on. But, like, she's ultra terrifying.
Yes.
She's not a normal immortal. And bless Cassian, because he's dying and his wings are shredding. The only thing he's trying to do is, like, help her. Because, remember, he promised in the house that he would always protect her. And, like, I could cry. So, bless Cassian, and it's just fucked. This whole thing is it's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. And this is the moment Lucian and his one eye and his lack of self-awareness decides that this is the proper moment to tell everyone that he thinks Elaine is his mate. He can't read a room.
Not to save his life.
He can't read a room, and it's like...
Man, what?
Okay. So after all this happens, our girl Feyre has let's call it a power surge. Mm-hmm. Okay? Her power comes back, all of her power, and for like 1 second, like she has wind and fire, and like no one knows what's happening. We know what's happening as readers, and she is using this power surge to take down the wards, because they can't get out. Remember, they're prisoners in this. So she's putting holes in the wards so that everyone can get out. And she is smart enough to use this episode as a way to pretend that she was coming out of a spell.
Yeah, that she was under mind control and she is no longer.
She just uses this, yes, I broke the mind control, and she is smart as shit, and she's like, oh my god. She wakes up, she opens her eyes, she's like, Tamlin, I've been waiting for you, take me home. Oh my god, like, and she plays it up that Rhys had tortured her and, like, was abusing her, and that she was controlled, and she's broken this spell. And everyone else in the inner circle has the wherewithal to play along.
Correct.
And Rhys probably knew what was up, but Moore was like, you bastard, what'd you do to that girl? And everyone just falls in line and has, like, oh, they're so smart. They're absolutely so smart. And she is trying to tell Rhys, right quick, I love you, get my sisters out of here. And she even panders to the king, and she was like, can you please, 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 you have to break my mating bond. I didn't want it. I was abused. And she has the king, so the king of Highburn is like, yeah, no problem, and severs the mating bond between Rhys and Feyre. And they both have these, like, visceral physical reactions. They're writhing on the floor.
Yeah.
We are panicking. We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's happening.
I'm feeling nauseous. I don't know what to do. And Tamlin is a little kind of taken back. And with that, after this is all over, she's telling them, like, through her mind, like, the words are open, like, get the hell out of here. And they do. And Rhys, Moore, Cassian, and Azriel dip out, and they take Elaine and they take Nesta with them. And the king, in this moment, I don't know why he didn't check before, but in this moment, after he's let everyone go, essentially realizes that Feyre doesn't have the book.
Right. He was like, give me the book. And she said, what book?
What are you talking about? And it's like, you're supposed to be a diabolical king.
Yeah.
You didn't pat her down for the book, but okay, no problem. And she tells him before she goes, like, get fucked, I'm coming for you. And then acts like she's super happy to leave with Tam Tam and Lucien. Lucian's reeling because he's like, I have a new mate. Tamlin's reeling because he's like, wait, what just happened here? And off they go. So now we finally get a break from fucking Feyre's point of view, all right? We finally get just a recent chapter. He should get a book.
He should get a book.
And they winnow back into the house, and who's waiting there but Amren? Azriel and Cassian are in real bad shape.
Yeah.
And even Amren, like, can't save them. They have to call for, like,
healers.
Real doctors.
Yeah.
Azriel's probably going to be okay, but Cassian, we don't know what's going to happen to him because his wings are fucked. And even Rhys is like, if he can't fly again, like, he'll off himself.
Yeah.
So the stakes are pretty high. And Amren just keeps asking Rhys, like, where is she? Where is she? And we realize that she's not talking about Moore because Moore's missing too. Moore took the siblings,
yes,
and Elaine, to put them somewhere safe. So she's, like, a little bit behind them.
Yeah.
And Amren's asking him, like, where is she? Where is she? And he was like, she went back, like, we severed the mating bond. And Amren's like, you can't sever a mating bond. He's like, yeah, joke's on them, you can't. The king actually just severed the bond of the bargain that we had made under the mountain. He thought it was the mating bond. So she's like, okay, well, where is she? And he's like, well, she went back, have no fear, she's gonna spy on them, and she's gonna be my spy, and we're gonna infiltrate them from the inside of the spring court. And Amren is
livid.
Yeah. She's like, she's not your spy. She's your mate. And then we have, like, a moment of awkward silence, and he's like, she's not my mate. She is my
high lady.
Oh, of course she is. Of course she is. Yes, she is. And they went out the night before to, like, a secret priestess and got tattoos, matching tattoos. And she is the official high lady
of the night court.
No matter what. So we have a high lady. We have a bad bitch high lady who is in the spring court who's going to save the world. She's going to save the world. And I don't care that she's annoying. I don't care that she's annoying. She's going to save the whole world.
You're so excited.
I am, because I forgot how good these books were because I haven't read them in a while. And now I'm just like, oh, yes. And back at the ranch, a.k.a. the spring court, we see Feyre, and Feyre is just trying to fake it till she makes it. Right?
Truly.
And
she kind of was doing it the entire time.
Right. And here's the thing. Lucien knows what's up.
Lucien knows.
And Lucien can't say shit because he's trying to brown chicken brown cow Feyre's sister.
Not brown chicken. I hate that.
Do you really?
That's
Why?
so much. I don't know. It just gave me the ick. Gave me the ick.
So he knows he can't really fuck with Feyre because he'll lose access to Elaine.
Yeah.
So Lucian's giving her the side eye, like, bitch, I see your games. And she's like, oh, do you? Like, smiling right back in his face. And Tamlin probably to some extent sees it too.
Yeah.
But he's blissfully ignorant.
He
wants it to be true.
He is so unhinged at this moment.
Right.
He won't question it.
And he is like, listen, I'm happy you're home. She's like, I've been waiting to come home. You know, she's laying it on
Thick.
And she makes him promise right then and there, which is smart, like, I'm back, but I'm not going to be a prisoner again. Like, I have to be part of this. And he basically says, the whole time you were gone, I've been thinking about it. I realized I was wrong. We're going to do things differently this time. I'm going to let you be a part of the gang. And then with that, he's like, go take a nap. I have to see Ianthe about some things because she fucked us over. Which was nice. You know, it was a nice to see. And that's how this book ends.
Yeah. Yeah. Her pretty much being like, about to burn this place to the ground.
That's how this book... And it's so good. It's so good. It's so freaking good.
This is definitely the best one. The third one
This is the cliffhanger that I want.
Yes.
I want resolution with the promise of more.
Yes.
And I understand the fourth wing cliffhanger allure, but those hurt my soul.
Yep.
Because I can live with this, right?
Yes.
Like, I can see where this is going. I can sleep at night. I'm waiting for the next book, right? I'm reading it right away if it's out, but this isn't going to torture my soul. Like I could see the pieces are in place.
Yeah. There's a framework they're working within.
Right. And these books are so good. They're so good. I can't wait to do the next one. I cannot wait to do the next one.
Yeah.
How do you not love this?
I am. This one is the best. Is my favorite so far. The third one I'm a little bit more than halfway. It's great, but this has so far been my favorite. This one.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. This one I'm like, okay, I understand why everyone's obsessed.
Yes, you have to.
And it's the inner circle for me.
Well, it's all it's the whole.
It's the dynamic.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They're so freaking good.
Yeah. No, this has been one of the faves. For sure.
So, yeah, I cannot wait to do the next one. We're going to take an Onyx Storm break, though, right?
Yeah. Who's your favorite character?
Rhys, obviously. Did we talk about characters in this book at all? We didn't.
No.
Okay, so now you can. Now's the time. Now's the time to shine. You don't like Feyre. I like Feyre.
I like her more in this book than I did in the first one.
You have to.
There are more respectable moments, but overall, as a whole, still can't stand her.
Like a 4 out of 10? A 3 out of 10?
Yeah, like a 4 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give her a 6.
She does some badass stuff.
Right.
She steps up.
Yeah.
But she's still stupid.
Who is it?
Yeah, but just can't get behind it. Rhys is your favorite?
Obviously. Is he not your favorite?
He's up there. I mean, he's definitely like 10 out of 10.
He's a top tier book boyfriend.
Yes.
10 out of 10.
But I love Cassian too.
I love Cassian too, but my love for Cassian has a lot to do with things that you haven't seen yet. That's the problem. So based off of this, I would give him, like, based off of the books we've already read,
Yeah.
I'll give him like a 6 or a 7. Based off of life, I'll give him a 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say he's like an 8 for me.
Yeah.
He's witty.
Yes. He's fun.
Yeah, he's funny.
He is funny. He's the comic relief.
He's the Riddick.
Right. And then we have Azriel, who, like, I'm giving him a 5. I don't hate him. I just feel like he doesn't do a lot for me.
Yeah. He doesn't say much.
You know what, I'm lying. I'll give him a 7 because I love him, but, like,
yeah.
He's just...
I was going to say, I give him a 7. He does a lot, but he doesn't say a lot.
Right.
Which in a book is hard.
Right.
Because...
he's the brooding, silent presence. Yes. And then we have more.
Who in this book I love.
I love her too. Overall in the series, I don't trust her.
Yeah.
I feel like something is shady about her, and only time will tell, but I do like her a lot along the way.
Yeah. Up until now, where I'm at, she's been...
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
I assume things will go sideways.
She's a good gal pal.
Yes.
She's a good gal pal, so yeah, we'll give her like whatever.
Yeah.
Give her an 8.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Tamlin and Lucian versus book 2 versus book 1. Lucian is the same. Lucian loses a few points.
Lucian loses a few points. And Tam Tam is the same.
Oh, Tammy Tam.
He might have gotten worse.
Tammy Tampon. I have a soft spot for him because I don't think he's evil. That's the thing.
Where I'm at in the third book,
Yeah.
I definitely have different views.
Yes.
He is mentally unwell.
Right. He's not evil. He is a man unhinged. He has a lot of trauma, which is understandable, right?
Yep.
All of their trauma is understandable. But yeah, Tammy Tam.
Yeah, he's just awful. But I think it's all stemming from what he deems is a good place.
Right. And I don't think we can really fairly judge Elaine and Nesta based on this book, but we could definitely judge them based on the end of the next book. And we could sure as shit judge them based on the end of the last book.
Okay. I see, because the few times we see them, Nesta's the same raging bitch as always.
Right. You know the last book is about Nesta.
The 5th book?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it's a Nesta book.
Great.
And I'm interested to see what you're going to think because it's polarizing. People either love Nesta or
couldn't give two shits about her.
They don't.
Yeah.
Maybe when I re-listen to it, I will feel
different. Again, at this point, I don't want Nesta dead.
Yeah.
Like the first one.
Right.
The first one, if she died, I would not have cared.
Yeah. When she gives the King of Hybern
I'll even go back a little farther. Like, once she told Feyre she went looking for her,
yes,
I was like, okay, you're not as shitty as this entire,
right?
Yeah. That this entire book has laid you out to be.
Yes. I don't feel like she's
at that point
enough. That's my
no, 100% not enough. But at that point, no longer wanted her to die per se.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I still wouldn't say I'm a fan.
Right, I feel you.
Amryn, 10 out of 10.
Ugh,
Forever and always.
I stan Amryn.
I picture her. Remember Daria?
Yes.
I picture her as her friend.
Yes. What's her name? Quinn.
Yeah, with the blunt.
Yes.
Black bob.
In my head, she's a tiny woman with a pixie blonde haircut.
She's small in my head as well.
Which is remember, I can't see pictures, but what I see when I read are blurry outlines. So there's people have hair.
Right.
They don't have faces to me. So in my head, Feyre, do you know what is Feyre supposed to look like?
Couldn't tell you.
She's a redhead to me.
Mousy.
She's a redhead
mousy
to me.
to me.
She is, this is and I mean no disrespect, but she's like the female Shrek.
Okay.
That's what I see.
Okay.
Or there's someone else. Yeah, so I just, yes. And then Moore, what is she to you?
She to me is a short the girl, or the way they style the girl in Twilight, Alice. She's got the short layers that kind of stick out a 90s, early 2000s. They took the flat iron to it. But right to her chin.
Okay.
And not super short, but not our height, 5'9", 5'10", my height.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, we definitely need to do just an episode of what I think people look like because it's all wrong. Because Cassian to me is rusty.
Cassian to me is that football coach that everyone's putting on Instagram, or he's a trainer. Maybe he's a trainer. He's the college football person, and he's got the full beard and the long.
Oh, from Notre Dame. The guy with the black hair from Notre Dame.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's not. No, Cassian to me is rusty, reddish, brown hair and very brutish.
Oh. That guy is in my head.
That's so
Cassian.
Funny. And
maybe I would prefer a little bit more curl in his hair.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Tamlin to me is
I was gonna say Thor.
Yes, both of the same. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. But yeah, how many spicy peppers?
I would say 3. There's some,
Spicy peppers.
yeah, 3, maybe 3.5.
Okay.
Compared to what we've read before.
I think that these are on par with the fourth wing. I don't think that these are any more or less spicy.
I think they're more frequent. We have more cringeworthy sex scenes in this book.
There's 2. I mean, there's 2 sex scenes, and then there's like a montage, right? Like after they really fucked the first time.
We're talking about, we didn't do this for, I'm talking about the whole book, not just the third part. Yeah, but think about all the cringy sex you have with Tamlin. It's because it's cringy, but because it's cringy doesn't mean it doesn't count.
Yeah, okay, we'll give it, yeah, I'll give it.
So I would say like 3, 3.5, just because of all those like awkward times.
Yes. Sarah J. Maas's sex writing is so bizarrely inconsistent.
Do you think that's because like the good ones are supposed to be good and the bad ones are supposed to be cringy?
No, I think it's because she probably takes a lot of critique on it.
Yeah.
Because in the last book, where she uses cock on every page, she uses the word cock on every page for 800 pages.
In Nesta's book.
That can't be the same woman who wrote this Mr. Softy Vanilla.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. And then, like, if you read her other... So, Throne of Glass, she wrote very young. So, the first couple
she's like
books,
15.
The first couple books of Throne of Glass, there's no...
It's fantasy.
YA. It's YA, which is totally fine. Those are the best books ever. And even when she gets into it, like... It never... Yeah, I mean, it happens and whatever. But Crescent City, and I had this I texted Rose, and I'm like... This is one of the best book couples I've ever read in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I never love a female name. I freaking love Bryce Quinlan.
Yeah.
I love the MMC. Their tension is top tier. They are the perfect couple. And then every time they like get it on, I like am like flipping. I don't want to read it. It's that bad, which is so bizarre.
Interesting.
Yes. She has no consistency. And I mean, I'm going to again say that none of this matters because it has nothing to do with the plot.
Right. Yeah, it's just something you noted.
I was just talking to Lauren about this because Lauren started reading these books. My friend Lauren texted me today and she was like, do we like this? She didn't spell Zayden right. And I was like, are you asking if we like Zayden? She's like, yeah, with like a fingers crossed emoji. I'm like, yeah, we like Zayden. She's like, well, I had a feeling. I'm like, had a feeling. I'm like, Zayden ruins real life men.
Yes.
Are you not understanding? And she's already read ACOTAR. So I'm like, Zayden equals Rhysand.
Yes.
She was like, oh, thank God. Like, really? And I was like, do we like Zayden? I said, I'm going to throw my phone across the room. Do we like Zayden?
Poor Lauren.
Do we like Zayden? Have you?
Zayden has ruined many a man.
So, the point I make here...
I digress,
is that the actual smutty scenes of this... And this was what Lauren was saying, because we were all together this weekend, and she was like, I thought that these were going to be like porno books. And I'm like, no.
Right.
The quote-unquote smut is 5%. It's to move the plot.
Yes.
The plot is so
is not dependent on the smut. So
here's what I'm going to tell you. My review of ACOTAR has nothing to do with this. I'm just saying it we're talking about it. I don't give a shit that, like...
Yeah.
But her writing of smut is the most bizarrely inconsistent thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's either bland or cocks aplenty or just cringy. It's just like... You don't know what you're doing.
It's like she's trying a different style until she finds one that fits. But amongst dozens of books.
Yes. So many characters, so many books, and like Crescent City is like a modern, and it just had in my opinion, it's the best couple she writes. It's like one of the best couples she writes, and it's just like, why am I skipping the pages where they're getting it? It's bad.
Yeah.
It's like, it's written like someone who's never seen a naked
body before.
And I'm just... Yes, it's crazy.
Interesting.
It's crazy. I'm like, she's a bad bitch. Like, SJM is a bad... Like, she pisses me off because she's the same age as me. And she's accomplished all of this.
Uh-huh.
And she's hot. Have you seen her?
Yeah, she looks like a Stepford wife.
She's like a vixen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks like a Stepford wife, but like you know that like behind the scenes she
Yeah.
like, gets down. Like she's just. So yes, it is odd. So that's what I mean. Like you're gonna see like there's a weird. The smut in these books it's odd. It's odd.
Yeah.
And when you get to the last one, it's like, girl, are you okay? Who woke you up? Like it's just very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Stay tuned. So all right, we're giving it 3 spicy peppers. 3
Yeah.
to 3.5 spicy peppers.
Yeah, I would say so. Make sure, what do you want to say? Make sure, like, subscribe.
Oh yes. Yeah, got it. Okay, so even if you don't listen every week, like just subscribe.
Just help a couple girls out.
Yeah, throw a couple 5 like review how you want to review honestly, but if it's less than 3 stars, don't review. But like, subscribe, review, leave comments, like help us out here because my sister spent a lot of money on this podcast.
If there's one thing Brianna can do is commit to a bit.
This bitch loves a new hobby, you know what I mean? And listen,
It's the ADHD.
right, if we don't keep up, she's gonna abandon me in like I think we have maybe another 3 weeks. So we need feedback, people. We need likes, we need subscribes, we need reviews, and we need good reviews. But we'll take any. We need engagement. Follow us on social media too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I also spend a lot of time on those TikToks.
we're struggling out here.
Not we.
Just you.
Just me. And with that, tune
Peace
in.
out, homies.
Peace out, homies.